Hello, this is Father Michael Nasser from St. Nicholas Orthodox Church here in Grand Rapids, Michigan, with this week's Midweek Reflection. And today I have, I hope, what is an interesting backdrop. It's not the church, because that's a beautiful backdrop. But I'm going to talk today about this backdrop, which is a big mountain of mulch. Now, when I saw the people coming up today with all the mulch and they're digging around in the gardens, I said, oh, this is a good sign that spring is coming. Finally, here to Michigan in the middle of March, it's a good sign that spring is coming because the mulch will go around and be put in the flower beds and the flowers we planted and all that. But before we get to the flowers, before we get to the new life, let's talk about the mulch. Because what is mulch? It is a big heap, or in this case, a big mountain of rottingness. What you see behind me looks nice and it's rich and it's dark and it's beautiful, but it is a big pile of rotting stuff. Leaves and twigs and branches and ground up trees and all that. And it is rotting. It's breaking down. It is, there's no other word for it. It's rotting. And yet, that rottingness is what God is going to use in his beautiful plan for creation to feed the earth, to kind of keep out, hopefully, some of the weeds and things like that, and give nutrients to the flowers that we planted in our flower beds. You might remember, you probably don't, but you might remember maybe 5-6 months ago, I was walking around actually way over back there, and all those bare trees had beautiful leaves on them. And I was talking about how this beautiful transition from summer into winter that we call fall, and all those beautiful colors of the leaves, was really about those trees dying, or not the trees dying, but the leaves dying and then falling off. But in the process of dying, it was what brought out their beauty. In a similar way, in the ugliness of the rotting of mulch, we have the nutrients for new life in flowers. Now, you might be saying, Father Michael, you're not supposed to be doing midweek reflection on gardening, but I'm not talking about gardening, am I? I'm talking about the life in Christ. That if we are going to spring up to new life, to use Jesus' words, something has to die. He said, unless a grain of wheat dies and falls to the ground, it cannot produce new life. And that's what we're all about, especially this time of year. We're in the Great Lent. People forget that Lent means spring. But that spring happens by us dying, not physically dying necessarily, but spiritually dying to our passions, dying to our temptations, dying to our selfishness, dying to all the things that draw us towards sin. And unless we die to all those things, we cannot find the new life that's going to be offered to us when we see Jesus come and arrive triumphantly on Palm Sunday, and then go to his passion, his death, and ultimately his resurrection. Even he has to go through death to bring us new life. And so it's no different from us. Only our prayer is that we accept the fact that he's died physically, that our physical death is just an entrance into the kingdom. But how do we make that our own? By accepting what he gives us and by dying to our selfishness. We have to die to ourselves to live to him. St. Paul talks about that in all of his epistles. So, as you look at this wonderful, glorious, big mountain of mulch, think about all the rottingness that's in there, and think about the fact that inside all of us, not only are we rotting because of our sin, we have to die to it. There has to be a rottingness to ourselves. We have to die to ourselves in order for new life to spring up. And that's what this Lent is all about, and I hope you are struggling well through the midst of it, and that all of those struggles are going to be coming to fruition in the new life that Christ is trying to plant inside each of us. So, God's blessings to you as we go into we're in the middle of the second week of the fast, and in all our spiritual struggles, may we die to ourselves and live to Christ. I hope you found this helpful. If so, please share it with your friends via your social media platforms, And God willing, we'll see you in next week's video.